So hello everybody. So today we'll start, and today we'll be discussing the last process followed in research methodology, like sorry. Yeah. So today we'll be talking about interpretation and report writing. But before we do this, let us spend some time discussing what we did last time. Last time we discussed about what is called, because it's very important. So to get a feeling about the subject, that is what we discuss is let me write central limit theorem. This is what we discussed last time. What it means that if we have a population, if we have a population of mean value is mu, and with a standard deviation sigma. Let us say, we want to study the average age of a population. So then this is the mean age of the population, and this is the standard deviation. But when I do experiment, I don't do a census, like every person I don't measure, but what I do, I take a sample. Suppose you take a sample, suppose you take few samples. So for each sample, you will get a mean value. And then if you plot that, what we are trying to plot is mean value for multiple samples we have studied, and the mean value we are plotting. So that will follow a normal distribution with a sigma. Sigma will be, what is the population sigma? Divided by root n square. That means number of samples you have included for your study. So you see here, your sigma is not the population sigma, but population sigma divided by root n. So that means if you take a more number of times samples, then your particularly this mean value distribution will be much more well defined. And this is what we call is the central limit theorem. And subsequently, what we did, we wrote it in terms of what is called standard normal distribution. That means you did a transformation and plot this in terms of probability of Z. So for that, you did a transformation of Z is X average by, this is a population mean, this is the sample mean, divided by sigma by n root. Once you do that, then you can write the probability distribution of Pz as is equal to 1 by pi root or minus Z square by 2. Z square by, this is 2. So this is this function is normalized. That means if you integrate over minus infinity to plus infinity, this will be total probability will be 1. And this distribution has a interesting property. Mean value will be 0, and its standard deviation is 1, and total probability is 1. Wait a minute. Never touch. Okay. Okay. So this is what is called standard normal distribution. And here, you know that if I take 1 sigma, this is a probability distribution. If I take 1 sigma, the area under this standard normal distribution would be roughly, 6.68 or 68%. If I take similarly, instead of 1 and -1, I can take -2 and +2. In that case, this area, whole area from minus z to plus z, that will be for z is equal to 2, z is equal to 2 will be around 95%. This is the z score. That's what we say. And when you want to talk about probability, you just make 1 minus pz. That means the area that is going beyond your defined region. Suppose I put z is equal to 2 plus minus 2. That means all the area outside where your z value is less than -2 and greater than +2. That area will be roughly 5%. And we will see that any value that is falling, any value having a z value that is more than 2, you call that as a, that is something you say that, that probability is too low for this, sample to satisfy. So you will, sometimes we use this, idea to study, to test the hypothesis in our experiments. So we'll just take some example and I will show you. So how do you do finally? Finally, you will do sample and then you calculate, first you have to calculate the marker. What is your pen? Pen. Hey, Teresa? Pen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there is a conventional rule that you can reject the null hypothesis. We'll see what is the null for which example. By chance only if 5% of the probability with 5%, if that is happening. But what you are trying to do, suppose you have a z distribution, then for any particular case, you find out your z value. And then you compare how far is your z value from the mean value of the population. And then accordingly, you see what is the probability of, if my process is statistical process, then what is the probability of getting that value with certain assumption. Okay, if this is my assumption, with that assumption, what is the probability of getting particular that value? If that value is less than 5%, then you say it is not significant enough to accept. So we'll take up just one of these example and try to see how we are calculating this. Suppose in a class, the average score score of 80 students in a class class is 7 is more than 70 is more than 70 with a standard distribution of standard deviation, standard deviation, the standard deviation of 10. And you made a sample study of 50 students, 50 students, and then you saw the average mark is mark. What is mark of 80? Because in this problem, what we say that the average score of 80 students in a class is more than 70. With a standard deviation, of 10. So you to study this whether this is correct or not, you want to verify. So you took a sample of 50 students out of 80, and you got an average of 80 marks. So then my hypothesis, how you write? You have to write, as I discussed last time, you have to have a null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is that I can write a average is 70. Average mark is 70. This is my null hypothesis. My research hypothesis or alternative hypothesis is average is more than 70. So this is my, so then what I will do, I have to calculate the Z score. Z score is calculated because it is my sample mean is 80 minus my population mean is 70, that is at a school average, divided by standard deviation of the population is 10, that is why I'm telling here 10 divided by number of sample I have taken 50 student, so this is root 50. If I do this, this will come out to be your 10, this 10 will cancel, this will go up, so it will be 7 point something, so let's say 7. Okay, so my Z value is 7. If my Z value is 7, then I there are tables available where you can find out for each Z value what is the probability. That means what it gives. Suppose you have a Z distribution. Then your Z value is written here. Suppose 0, 1, 2, 7 means it will give you, you integrate Pz from minus infinity to 7. Instead of minus infinity to plus infinity, you only integrate up to 7. That is your Z value. So that this will be giving you the probability. Then your probability will be, of course, value 1 minus this value. Okay, if you do this from looking into the table, what is the Z value for this condition, you will find it will be very small number. That means it excludes all those areas starting from minus infinity to up to 7 Z value. And beyond, what is the area remaining? That is very small. I think you can calculate this, it will come something like this, very small. And we have taken as a convention, if we, what it says is small probability means from this distribution, assuming that my mean is 70, what is the probability of getting value 80? That's 80 or above. That is what it says. This probability basically says what is the probability of getting a average, 80 or more. That is a very small thing. Assuming that my average is at 70. So whenever with our convention is anything, if you see it is less than 5%, that means 0.005. We say that it is not significant enough. It's rather for to rejecting null hypothesis, it is significant. If anything less than this. So now we'll, particularly in this case, we'll reject this null hypothesis. Once you reject the null hypothesis, that means you are agreeing with the alternate hypothesis. Sorry, this is alternate hypothesis. And you can also visualize this. Suppose instead of my mean putting at 70, suppose while calculating Z, suppose I say my mean is more than 70. So I put it, suppose 75. If I put 75, then this value will reduce. This value will be reducing. Okay, it will reduce to half. So it will be 3.5. So that means you are going more towards the inside the your Z distribution. That means you are at that time your probability will be more than 0.5%, and in that case you will not able to reject the null hypothesis. Then you will say, okay, my average is 75. So this is something like this. We can do many problems, but today maybe we'll only do, and one more class is remaining after this. So we'll find out when we can put that class, and then we'll solve a little more problem. And also, I think we have not done about to error estimation and error propagation, and those things. And there are other inferential statistics like t-test, f-test, and all those things we'll also do maybe in one class. And I can do for you another problem quickly to get a feel. I hope you have got a feeling about this. Suppose we know that average a person drinks 2 liters of water in a day. Average person takes 2 liter of water in a day. Sorry. Liter of water in a day. Suppose and with a standard deviation, with a deviation of 0.7 liter. Suppose you are planning a full day outing of 50 persons, and you are planning to take with you some 110 liter of water. So now you are asked to calculate what is the probability you will run out of water. Suppose you are asked to calculate this probability. So how do you go about it? You know the mean that each person takes in a day, mu. This is something like a population mean, 2 liter. And with a standard deviation, sigma is equal to 0.7 liter. And your sample average is 50%, you are taking 110 liter. So mu for your sample is 2.2 liter. This is I'm putting this as a mu of the sample 2.2 liter. Okay, and then let me calculate the Z score. Z score will be 2.2 minus 2 divided by, this is 0.7 divided by 50. So this will be 0.2 divided by 0.1, 0.1, that is equal to 2. My Z score is now 2. So again, I will go to table, then I will see if my Z distribution come up to 2. This is 0, this is 1, Z, this is -1, -2. So again, I have to integrate this Pz from -infinity to 2. Then my probability, if I calculate, that will be 1 minus this. That's the area which is going beyond this. So if you do this, if you put the appropriate value, it comes out to be 0.0217. Oh, so that means only there is a chance that you will fall or you will go out of water is 2.2%. Only there is chance that 2.2% you will go out of water. So similarly, we can do many problems. If you find these problems are interesting, you can also yourself do. So okay, now I think we'll stop it here about this statistics part, and maybe in one more class we'll take where we'll solve some problem and we'll give a overall description of the whole course, also summarize, and about error analysis and error propagation also we'll discuss. So right now, then we'll go back to our last process, that is interpretation and report writing. So our last process in research methodology, as I told earlier, is interpretation. Sorry. Sun and report writing. This is the last, there are 6 steps I had told earlier. So this is the last step. Now, once you have collected your data and analyzed, then the task with the researcher is of drawing inferences. Because whatever result you have got, you have to give some sort of a meaning to it. So it is only through interpretation you can expose the relationship and processes that underline the findings. Whatever your findings are there, you can give a through interpretation you can only expose the relationship and processes that is underlining these findings. And also through this, you can link up your findings with those of other studies having the same abstract principle, because suppose you have got some result, now you can also interpret whether in some other field also people are finding similar type of abstract principle working on their findings. So all these analytical information and your consequential inferences may be finally communicated through a research report to the consumers of research result. What is the significance of report writing? Why you write this? So let us see. Sorry. Report writing. Because research report is considered as a major component of research study. Your research task remains incomplete till the report has been presented or written. Research finds and purpose of research are of little value unless they are made known to others. So writing the report is part and parcel of the research project. Any project you do, writing of the report is part and parcel of the project. The writing of the report is the last step. As I told you, this is the last step in a research study, and it requires certain skill. So actually, it is advised for a researcher. He may seek assistance and guidance of expert for this purpose. So significance of the writing, I hope you understand now. So what are the research report? What are the research reports? Research reporting is an oral or written presentation. It's a presentation of important and useful aspect of research work done by the researcher. So it can be done in two ways, either oral, so or in a you can write a report. So oral, what do you do? Oral report. What do you mean by oral report? So there are, this is a presentation of one's research work in scientific meetings, including, suppose you are going to present this in a seminar or a symposium or workshop, and your departmental seminar. These are basically oral reporting. Then also second step, another type of report you write, research paper. You can write a research paper. It's a report published in journal. Finally, it will be published in journal or magazine. Okay. And third report is your PhD thesis. This is a report of the entire work done by the researcher. This entire work done by and it is submitted to university or institute. Okay. So we will now see what are the characteristics of a oral presentation. That In suppose in a departmental seminar, you not only discuss own work, but also have discussion on very recent reported work. In a departmental seminar, what to do? Not only you present your work, but some recently published work also you discuss. Recently not only your work, but some recently published work also you of other scientists you discuss. In an oral report, the important thing is that the oral report researcher can present the results and the interpretations which are not clearly understood by him. So oral presentation is very important in the sense the researcher can present results that are results and interpretations which are not clearly understood by him, and may request the experts in the audience to give their opinion and suggestions. So oral presentation is very important in the sense you get an opportunity to clarify your doubt and your suggestion. Suppose you give a departmental seminar or oral presentation, you may not be understanding many of those things, but you present your thing, and then you ask your expert what I have understood it is like this, but then expert will tell you their opinion, so that you can get a better understanding of the subject. But of course, when you make a presentation for a symposium and seminar, oral presentation, that is much more difficult than writing a report. Writing a report is rather easier, but rather than preparing an oral presentation in a conference. So how do we prepare a oral report? So first you have to outline, you draw outline of your presentation based on how much time you are getting. Sometimes these oral presentations are 15 to 30 minutes, or suppose departmental seminar, it can go up to 45 to 60 minutes. So accordingly, your time, you can draw an outline. If you have 45 to 60 minutes time, then you will have enough time to introduce the topic. And then you can discuss the definition of your problem, and you can discuss the method and techniques used, techniques employed, and give then you present results and discussion. This is how your presentation should go. But if it is 15 to 30 minutes, then many of these informative items you can minimize, like methods and technique used can be presented briefly. but much of the time you should keep her this results and discussion, and also future direction. Suppose you are making a 15 minutes presentation. In that case, you informative items you should reduce, and techniques, methods you can minimize, but you keep most of your time for the presentation results and discussion, and also future direction. That will help. And when you are preparing a oral presentation, it is always good to prepare a write-up before your oral presentation, and it will help you in the sense you can also ask evaluate yourself when you write down. You can evaluate yourself. Why should the audience listen to you? And is the presentation match with the standard of the audience? So you ask this question to yourself, and then accordingly you keep on revising your presentation until you get a convincing answer to the above two questions. So finally, the success of a presentation lies in making it long enough to clear your presentation should be long enough to cover the topic and short enough to arouse curiosity to the audience. You have to make sure you are able to do this. And the most crucial part in a oral presentation is the presentation in front of listeners. Stage fright is the bane of most presenters. Always you are scared of talking in front of a gathering. So, but there is no shortcut to overcome this fear. One has to practice and practice and practice. So that is the only way you can overcome, what is called your stage fright. And after your presentation, you can get feedbacks, so that will help you to improve your presentation with time. And when you are making presentation, you should avoid some of the words. Let me write down. This is important. When you are making oral presentation, particularly, don't use words like well, you see, this type of sentences you should avoid. I mean, you should not speak this type of words when you are making a oral presentation, like I think, and then that is, and basically you should not use these words. You should also concentrate in your body language. Like you should your movement of the limbs should be smooth. You should occasionally give also smiles and look relaxed. You should make eye contact with the an audience uniformly. Don't look at only section of the audience and go on speaking. That's not the right way to do, but you should uniformly look at the audience. And above all, one or two rehearsals of the report in the presence of colleagues and supervisors and collaborators can be exercised in order to to improve the complete the presentation in allotted time, improve the quality of presentation, and maintain the fluency of the project. Your fluency has to be uniform. That to maintain those things, you should take a rehearsal with your colleagues and supervisor, and collaborator. That will be a good option. During long presentations, the speaker can stop at various stages and seek comments and questions at various from the audience, and then proceed. This will allow the audience to clarify their doubts so that they can follow the work. Your clarification should be very clear. When you clarify somebody asking a question, when you clarify, it has to be very clear and convincing. Never go into arguments when you are making oral presentation. Never go into arguments with any of the audience. Your confidence get boosted if you approach the situation with a feeling that experts panel is there to help you. You always feel that this expert panel in the audience, they are there to help you. They are not going to demoralize you or pull you down. Don't think like that. You think they are there to help you. That is a good positive approach, so that will give you more confidence. So this is all about how you do a oral presentation. So as you can see that oral presentation is you can present when even you don't understand the things. So oral presentation is some sort of a it's a opportunity to learn also in a short time. So there are many experts in the audience. They may give their opinion. So that will give a good learning for a researcher. The next report writing is writing research paper. Paper is in our and thesis also. As you know, without a report, study is incomplete. Whatever research work you do, if you have not written a report of that, then it is your study is incomplete. Also, in academic matter, the iron rule is publish or perish. As you will be knowing how important is a publication. So you assess a person from his publications. Even sometimes delaying publication of a result, one would lose his claim, because same problem maybe many people are working. Suppose you delay in publishing your work, then your claim, you lose your claim. Sometimes your research result may be useful to another research problem. And the outcome of research work will become known to scientific community only through publication. If you publish, then only scientific community will know your work. So in view of above, it is important to report a work in an appropriate journal or magazine and in scientific meetings like a conference and symposia. And you have to identify the publication of your findings on a research problem. You have to identify possible publication. Suppose you have done your work, then it's important to identify which part or which finding I can publish. That is also, art. You have to know that. So your outline also of the report, you have to consider when you are writing a report, certain things you should keep in mind. So, outline of the report. You should work on the outline of the report first. An outline of the report has to be prepared. You have to prepare an outline first. Then you have to sketch of what information to be conveyed must be made. You must know what are the information I should include. You should write down various topics or subtopics like introduction, abstract, all those things you write down, and consider what materials to be presented in them. You have to just prepare outline first of when you are writing a paper. So you do all those things. Then sometimes some sentences you write, but suppose you need those sentences to be expanded or verified for its validity, can be marked. And this outline of your research report should be always discussed with your guide, with your collaborators, and colleagues and experts in your institute. Based on their comments, the structure of the report can be modified. You can modify the structure of the report as per the suggestion of all those your guide and collaborator and experts. So you can take their opinion and you prepare a structure of the report first. Then let us see how is a structure of a journal paper. Let us see. Journal paper. What is the structure of a journal paper? In journal paper, first thing comes is title. So what should be there in title? This sort of the indicate the area of the research. Also, what is unique about the work? What is unique about this work? That will be reflected in your title. And since research paper is identified by its title, because your keywords, when you want to search some research work, the keyword you search taking the titles. So some of those keywords should be there in your title. It should not be more than some 10 to 15 words. It should not be too long. And you should include some of the keywords. And it should not be more than 10 words is better. As small it is better, because it's brief means it's good. And then once you have written a title, then two things you have to remember, that you should include some of those keywords of your area, so that somebody can, when they search, they will be able to pick your paper. And then next structure comes abstract. Abstract is very important. You give away all the important results here. Abstract is very important to write, because only interested people will read the whole paper. Whole paper, everybody is not going to read, only interested people. Therefore, the abstract should have positive information about the content of the paper and the summary of the work reported in it. So important, content of the paper and what is the summary of your work, all those things should be and you should keep in mind that you have to inform in a very efficient way to the reader, so that without reading the whole paper, the general reader can know the outcome of the paper. So you have to write this in such an efficient way. Without reading the whole paper, a general reader can get an idea of what is this paper. So abstract you have to write like this. Give give away all important results. And then inform efficiently. So that, a person without reading, only reading the abstract, he will get a sense what is this paper all about. Then in the structure comes introduction. Introduction, you have to write what is your work, give some background, why it is important, so that you mention other technical paper in the past. Then what is required to understand the work? Understand the work. Like earlier work and model used. Earlier work and model used. Suppose you have done this work earlier, it's continuation, or somebody else has done. So you can mention they have done in this way, this model they used, something like that. So these are the structure goes like this: title, abstract, introduction. Then comes the experimental detail. In this, you should write the experimental detail in such a way that somebody else can reproduce your work. This is important. Your experimental detail should be such that if somebody wants, he can reproduce your work. After that comes the result. Okay, just a minute. Then results. You make in the result, you make a actual statement of the data. That means how your data is showing its dependence, something like statement of facts, how they are depending, how A is depending with B, all those things you have to do. Result. Then comes discussion. In this section, where you try to understand the implication of the result. Try to understand implication of results. using scientific argument. Scientific arguments. It's important to analyze the result. Then you end with conclusions. Some way abstract and conclusion is similar. In some way it is similar, but there is a greater flexibility to explain the work and future perspective. You can discuss future perspective. So you can discuss about the future perspective and the conclusion. And the last is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Here you thank the people, those who are so this is the typical structure of a journal paper. So you know the structure now, and you have outline also. Then you have to prepare the manuscript. How much time you have? Achha. We are running short of time, so we'll go a little faster. So normally, when you prepare a manuscript, you follow 3-stage preparation. That is, first you have to prepare a first draft, then second draft, and third draft. This is basically a rough draft. This is rewriting and polishing of first draft. This is writing the final draft. So this approach this. In first draft, in this stage, the researcher can write what has been done in the research study, procedure, method, theory, and techniques applied, technical difficulties faced, and how they were overcome, then broad findings and concluding remarks. And you prepare your tables and charts separately using computer and keep them separately. Then once you have done all these things, then you take it for the second draft. This is most important and difficult part of writing. Unclear points, jargons, weakness of the report have to be identified and revised. Second draft is the most important part. Suppose somewhere you have over generalized of an outcome, should be avoided. You should not, with small evidence, you should not make big claims in any paper. You should leave it to the reader to judge. If you have done some very good work or a very good finding, then let the readers to judge that rather than you claiming yourself. Attention must be paid to the arguments made, logical flow of the work presented, quality of supporting evidences, and conclusions drawn. When you are writing a paper, whenever you are making a statement, it is always good to substantiate what you are saying immediately. Because I am saying this because of this, something like that. You should always substantiate. When you are preparing the second draft, never do it in one go. So it is the best way to prepare the manuscript is you prepare one section, then take a break time, then think over the revision made, and then again maybe after 1 day or 2 days again you see whether you need to even modify the part you have already done, the section or chapter you have done, and then you write the next. So that way you take your own time and write. And you should always check the grammar and spelling check you must do, and always use simple words as far as possible. Indecisive words such as perhaps, somewhat, rather should not be used. It should be avoided. Never use some sort of words like perhaps, somewhat. You should avoid these words. And also avoid some of the words using repeatedly, like very and extraordinary, invariably. This type of word you should avoid. And also expressions such as it seems, there may be, since. This type of words you should avoid. Sentence you should not use. And if you have lengthy sentence, you have to break it down and rewrite. Your conclusion should carry something more than the repetition of the finding indicated in the abstract or something, or in the discussion section. Perhaps the conclusion could reveal a special insight of yours, throwing up a possibility of finding being applied to a different situation or even different discipline. So all those things you should carry out during the second stage. When it comes to third draft, this is the last stage. In this stage, one can concentrate on final touches and finishing. This should be in a direction making the report weighty, authoritative, and attractive and convincing. Use of I and the authors should be avoided. Never use I in a scientific report writing. You must take care to use present and past tenses. Third part. Use for interpretation, assessment, and discussions. It is you should use the present tense. So let me write down. For for interpretation, assessment, and discussion, use present tense. Use past tenses to describe data collection, and work done by others and you. So you have to use past tense or present tense in such a way. And some, since the research article is to be read by expert, because when you submit a research paper, it goes to the reviewer, they are the expert. Don't use the words like in other words. And to put it in a simple way, this type of word, don't use. And similarly, like second stage, between various stages, it is advisable to give few days break so that you can leisurely think of manuscript and record how to revise it. So same thing you have to do. The last point I want to tell is how do you ensure that your paper will be well received by readers? So what you have to do, you after writing the manuscript, you should give to your friends and colleagues to read and comment. And don't feel offended if colleagues suggest drastic changes. And the last thing is that think back a couple of papers which have made an impression on you and are still long remembered. Note down and analyze the style, the presentation, and other features that have impressed you. And you know that which thing you like, so you should make also your research report in similar way. That will make sure that it will be appreciated by readers. Thank you all. So we'll stop here. We have overshot the time today, but so from next Monday, so we have talk by Professor Prabhuddha Ganguly. He will be talking about IPR, intellectual property rights. So he will be delivering 3 lectures. After that, we have Professor Siliguri. He will be talking about ethics and so on. So for me, this is the one sense last, but I will try to because I missed 1 lecture, so I will try to get 1 lecture in the course, and maybe we will take 1 extra class because normally we have 24th of the February we have a class, but the speaker told me that 24th they have some work, so he wants to take that class on 23rd. So if that is the case, then I can take the 24th class. So please remember this. Maybe we are going to have classes on 23rd and 24th. So right now, but we will inform you as things go on. So any question? If anybody want to ask any question, any clarification? What about conflict of interest statement in the manuscript? Which why do you write this? I don't know. It's you write in a separate page or in the paper itself. There is no section called conflict of interest statement. Maybe somewhere you have to sign undertaking. in many of scientific journals, results and discussion parts are clubbed together. How should we proceed in this case? Okay, then you can combine these two things. But we did it separately. I just put a typical structure of a journal paper, and what are the things one should put in a respective section. That is what I discussed. But if you can, I understand that what that's right. Result and discussions also can come in one place, because results, when you separate them in result section, only you factual facts you give, but you don't derive any inference. That is done during a discussion. It is better to combine. When you combine them, you can show your result and also interpret. Okay. In our oral present 10 minutes, the main points should be to give a short overview of the work without much details, or many information needs to be included for the listener to. No, as I told you in a short oral presentation, you should keep most of your time to discuss your result and future plan, because you are when you have done some work, you want that this which direction this work can go. Usually you do oral presentation when your work is initially it's a midway and you have got some result, but you are trying to understand, you have not fully understood what is happening. In that stage, these oral presentations are useful. Like suppose you have got some result, you can give a departmental seminar and you present your result. You can say that I have got these results, but I am not understanding well. So that you are all those experts in the audience, they will also interpret and they will suggest you, okay, why don't you do this, and maybe you can read this paper. So that's it. So more time we should keep for result and discussion. Do different journals have different template? Yeah, that's right. Different journal, in fact, have different templates, right? Or any other question? Any other question? You people want the notes, class note? I will make it available. I will have to xerox it and prepare. Somewhere I will put it. These are personal notes, but doesn't matter. I will give them. And one class we will discuss overall things, and maybe little bit I will tell about the exam questions, whatever things that can come. So that will help you writing your exam. So there is no more question. So we'll stop here. Thank you all.